This is Pat Iyer with Legal Nurse Podcast, and today we're going to be talking about something that many legal nurse consultants overlook in their marketing, and that's the power of video. If you've been part of the world talking about marketing in the last 3 or 4 years, you've heard predictions about how much of the content on the internet is going to be video as opposed to written, and that's already upon us. So I wanted to bring on the show today a man who I consider to be one of the experts in video marketing as it relates to a small business. I have known Lou Bortone for maybe 7 or 8 years. We first met at an internet marketing conference, and I've always been impressed by his knowledge of video. Lou is known as the video godfather, which has a different meaning in New Jersey, where I live, than it does where Lou does in New Hampshire. I'm not sure why he's called a godfather, and I'm a little afraid to ask. What I know is that he has been a pioneer and a thought leader in the video space since the launch of YouTube in 2005, when YouTube was just something that I think drunken college students put their videos on, or at least those were the early videos that I saw. And he has helped thousands of entrepreneurs and companies create and leverage online videos to build their brands and dramatically grow their revenues. I've taken a couple of Lou's courses, and I can attest to the fact that he is able to succinctly put together the information that you need to understand video. He's also the author of a book which I purchased and found to be great, which is called Video Marketing Rules: How to Win in a World Gone Video. Lou, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Pat, and thank you so much for having me, and thank you for buying the book.
You're most welcome. We talked a little bit in the beginning about video and the strength of it. For the people who are not yet convinced, why should we be using videos? What are the advantages of doing that?
Well, obviously there's a lot of statistics that back that up. You mentioned how a lot of the internet is becoming video. And right now, 33% of all online activity is spent watching video. We also know that people spend more time on a website that has video. We know that video drives more organic traffic. And one of my favorite stats is that small businesses who use video grow revenue 49% faster than those who don't use video. But aside from the stats, I mean, video is just more engaging. It's more personal. You sort of get that "I feel like I already know you" effect with video. I know, sometimes when I see people at conferences, like, "Oh, I feel like I know you already because I've seen you on video so often." So it's really memorable, engaging, familiar, and all the things that help make a business connection that's really important.
I think that's a really important point, Lou. It's making that person personal to the client, as opposed to when I've gone on websites, particularly for legal nurse consultants in my field, and I see about our company and there's a description, there's not even sometimes a picture. So
Right.
no way to relate to who is this business owner. A video would make it even clearer who that business owner was.
Yep, absolutely. People want to know that, there's a face behind the name, and they can make that connection, and then knowing that there's a real person there, it adds a level of authenticity to it.
And while we're talking about websites, I know that you advocate having some specific types of videos on websites, having read your book and seen the scripts to make it as easy as possible for your readers. What is the key way to easily get started with video?
I think the best way to get started, aside from just saying, "All right, I'm just going to do this," is to use your smartphone. The cameras on smartphones, iPhones, Androids are excellent these days. You've almost always got your phone with you. So it's just a great way to, you can do something on the fly. I was at a concert the other night and I did a Facebook Live. Facebook Live, as a matter of fact, is probably one of the easiest ways, or what I call the low-hanging fruit of video, in terms of getting started, because there's a little bit less pressure. It's very easy to do. You can use your phone, you can use your desktop, and people, they seem to be like kind of less judgy. I mean, Facebook Live is very informal. You can kind of use it as a testing ground or a practice space, and you can go as short or as long as you want. So I usually recommend that people just starting out kind of wade into it using Facebook Live, because that's one of the easiest ways to get started.
Mm. And I think you made a great point about using your iPhone, because when I started doing videos for Legal Nurse Business, I had a digital video recorder with a Bluetooth mic. It required lights and a setup. And because our house in Florida has overhead fans, we were using readers that we could put an iPad on, we being my husband and I, who was helping me with this. And the glass on the reader would reflect the fan blades, which would then show up on my face. And then we found there was only one spot in my living room where we could possibly use this setup where the fan was just behind and not interfering. In the entire house, only one room where the fans wouldn't affect this. Now, I can take my phone, as I did last month, and go to Colorado and do a video on the top of a mountain. And I don't have to worry about any interference other than the sounds, and making sure that I've got an appropriate microphone so I don't get the wind noise.
Right. And if you think about, I was just thinking about remember the Chewbacca lady who did a viral video with the Chewbacca mask? She was in her car. It was really spur of the moment. You know, the lighting, you know, she was in her car. So it's like whatever the lighting was, it was. And that obviously caught fire, and it had nothing to do with the quality. It just had to do with the content and the timing. So be just about anywhere to do video.
So you've talked about Facebook Live as one of the easiest types of videos to create. What are some other things that business owners should consider having as video?
Right. Aside from Facebook Live, it's probably most important to have some kind of a welcome video on your homepage if you have a website. Something that just, you know, welcomes the viewer, tells them who you are, what you do, how you can help them. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be fancy, but you really want that immediate engagement on your homepage. So that's a really important one. Some other ways that you can do video that are relatively easy is something like this. If you're doing a Zoom interview, you can both be on screen, you can record it. I like doing the Zoom interviews because it takes a little bit of pressure off of me. Like, okay, I don't have to do all the talking, and I don't have to think of everything, because you've got somebody else to engage and interact with. So that's another, you know, relatively easy way to get started if you're not quite sure how to jump into it.
And what about settings in terms of where you can record? What's the range of places?
Right. Well, really just about anywhere. Like I say, with something like live video or Facebook Live, if you're at a conference or an event, maybe you're getting a testimonial, viewers are much more forgiving of those environments because they know that, you know, intrinsically there's going to be some background noise and distractions. But if you're looking for a spot to say, where can I just record video every day or go someplace every day, you know, you want to find a spot in your home that's relatively quiet, that the lighting is decent, either from window natural light, which is mostly what I'm using, and you want to just have a setup where you can just sit down and go. So here for me, I've got, you know, my Blue Yeti Nano microphone. I'm recording into my Mac with the webcam. I've got a little bit of light coming in from the window. I've got a nice fake background here that I bought on Amazon. So I don't have to think about it. I can just, you know, basically turn the camera on and go anytime. So you want to find a setting or a place that you can set up where you're comfortable and where you don't have to say, oh my gosh, every time I have to go do a video, it's a big 20-minute setup process.
I have to share a story with you, Lou, of what happened to me earlier this month when I was doing some video in the Inner Harbor in Baltimore. You really have to have a sense of humor about what you're doing. I had a policeman come check me out to figure out what I was doing. A man came up to me and asked me if I was with CNN. I wanted to say, do I look like I'm a reporter? And I said, no, it's just me in my video. Another guy came up and said, am I interrupting you? As I was moving the tripod. And I said, no, not yet. You are not interrupting me. And then finally, there were a group of tourists who were giggling and laughing and taking pictures of me trying to video Well, a helicopter went by overhead, and at that point, I'd gotten 3 usable videos, and I said, "That's enough. I'm being tested too much by the environment."
Exactly. I mean, once you leave your home or you go outside, pretty much anything can happen. I live near an Air Force base, so occasionally I'll be doing a webinar and I'll get plane noises coming in overhead, or the UPS guy shows up and the dogs go crazy. So you can't control everything, but if you're in a place where you at least have some sense of control, then that makes it a little bit easier. But the truth is, I know Rocco, my little black pug, is going to bark at some point during an interview, so I just sort of make him part of the process. He's on my website, and people want to see him more than they want to see me. So
Rocco will have his own YouTube channel one day, huh?
Yeah.
And then Rocco can give celebrity endorsements, and you could get millions of dollars with Rocco and his little necktie, which is
he has to stop pulling his weight around here. So
That's right. That's right. He's got to pay for his dog food. I know that a lot of people are intimidated by the concept of software and editing and tools and, oh my goodness, what are the easiest things to use to get started? So could you tell us a little bit about that for the people who are brand new or maybe been doing video for a while and are not aware of some of the newer techniques?
Sure. Well, and again, you can do on-camera videos like this, or you can do off-camera videos where you're doing animation or screencasts or things like that. For on-camera, I mean, I use Zoom, which we're using right now, several times a day. So it's kind of my go-to recording device for live video. But you can also share your screen on Zoom, so that makes it helpful if you have to show slides or your screen or graphics or something. So Zoom is sort of my, must-have. There's another tool called Loom, not to be confused with Zoom, and that's at useloom.com. And that allows you to sort of appear on screen while you're recording. So if I want to show a client something, or if I want to do a quick demo, I can do that. And the thing that's great about Loom is that it's free. So I use that for video email and for follow-up. And that gives me the combination of me on screen plus whatever I'm showing on screen. So I can do demos and tutorials and things like that. For off-camera videos, there are just a plethora of different tools you can use. Some are free, most are pretty low cost. I think Animoto is probably one of the most popular ones where you can share, video clips and photos and things like that. I have a few others written down here. Adobe Spark is really fun and very easy to use as well. Wave video, in video. It seems like there's a new tool every day, but the important thing is to find something that you're comfortable with and sort of find your sweet spot and then just use that. So even though there are dozens and dozens of video tools out there, I still find myself using the same 2 or 3 all the time.
That's good to know. I have just started learning how to do a little bit of basic editing in Camtasia, which intimidated me for years. I have to tell you, I bought it at version 6. It's now, I think, up to version 10 or 11. And I kept renewing my edition, even though I didn't open it, because I thought it was going to take me months to learn how to use it. And I was pleasantly surprised that after about 2 hours of playing around with it, I could produce a video. I could edit a little bit. I could add some words. Could make the words jump around or slide in, and I'm just beginning to learn the power of it. But
and things like Camtasia, they're really robust, and you can use it for a lot of things. You can use it for screencasting and recording. You can use it for editing. So you really don't need a huge collection of tools. You just have to find that 1 or 2 tools that work best for you that you can kind of keep going to and rely on. And it seems like there's almost like a space race of like, oh my gosh, somebody's got this and now we've got that and now we've got, it's like, and at the end of the day, it's like, well, I have, 14 video makers, but I still come back to Zoom. So
that's good to know. So we can skip the other 13 tools then.
Probably, yeah.
Well, we talked about the setup that I used when I first started with a teleprompter and a tripod and the earphones that go over to make sure you've got sound properly and the camera itself. Tell us about what equipment you think we should be using today.
Again, just the basics are, if you've got a webcam, you may have a webcam in the computer like I do on the Mac. If not, you can get a webcam for anywhere from $30 to $60. The Logitech webcams are really good. I use a Blue Yeti Nano microphone. It's a USB microphone. I'm not quite sure I can show it from here, but
it shows up. Yep.
And it's really reliable. It's got good sort of noise reduction, like I say. So if the dog barks, hopefully you won't hear that part. But so you just need a decent microphone, a decent camera. Somebody called me last week and they said, "Oh, there's such and such camera is on sale and it's $2,500." I'm like, you don't need to spend $2,500 on a camera. You need to spend $15 on, or $20 on a webcam. You've probably already got your phone, which is a camera in itself, and a microphone. I use 2 LED lights that are really affordable. So when I'm recording, if I go like this, you can see the reflection of my glasses, so I don't have to look up too often. But some basic lighting, a good webcam, a good microphone, and you're ready to roll.
I did find just recently when I went to a conference on creating video, listening to a man who does it outdoors. His recommendation was a microphone called Sennheiser,
right,
which clips into the end of your iPhone. And that was my big deal. Like, if I'm going to use my iPhone to record, how do I get a good sound? Because when you're outside, you've got wind and other people, as you just heard, a lot of people walking around you maybe. Although I have to say, on the top of the Rocky Mountains, nobody was walking around, so it was great. Except for the cow that I attracted with my
discussion. Photobombed by a cow.
Yes, so. Who was in my background and I didn't even know it. He wandered over to hear my writing tip.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably one of the big things that advanced my thinking was get a microphone that clips into your iPhone or your Android phone, whatever phone you have, and that way you're not recording through the air. Even though you think the microphone's going to pick up your sound well, there's too much wind and people get annoyed with that wind distortion.
Yeah, especially outdoors. So those Sennheiser lavalier mics are really helpful because, again, the mic's here instead of out here where your phone is. So that's going to be a huge help.
I know that you mentioned being involved in YouTube when I was introducing you, and you said that you were involved in YouTube right from the beginning. How does YouTube fit into our video plans?
YouTube, although, back in the day it was skateboarding dogs and piano playing cats, and to some extent it is, but YouTube has become so big and so ubiquitous that you almost can't avoid being on YouTube if you want to have a presence online. It's the second most popular website. It's the second most popular search engine. So in terms of discoverability, if you want to be found online, YouTube is really, really important for that. And it doesn't mean you have to do videos every day. It just means you have to have some kind of a presence there where maybe you're posting once a week or once every couple of weeks, and you are, putting the videos on YouTube just so you can be found. Because if it's like, basically not having a website these days. If you're not on YouTube, it's going to be very difficult for people to discover you.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things that you said triggered a thought, which is that you don't have to post a new video every day. It does make sense to batch your recording of videos. As I was describing what I was doing in Baltimore, my intent is to record 4 videos. I got 3 usable ones, but I didn't want to go there every day to the Inner Harbor or feel the pressure to create a new video every day. But it's much easier to sit down and say, I'm going to block off the next 3 hours and I'm going to write my scripts and create my videos all in one time.
Batching is a great idea. Last night, I had a rare moment when my wife took the dogs out for a walk, so I knew they weren't going to bark. Nobody was here. It was fairly quiet. So I did 5 or 6 videos, just one right after the other. I know women may feel more like, oh, well, I have to change my outfit or this or that. But, guys don't usually care about that. I had 2 shirts, so I changed once. But basically, I did all the videos at the same time, and now I've got my videos for the next couple of weeks all ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mix and match my videos. I've got some that I did in Colorado, some in Baltimore, some in California. I'll do some in my backyard in New Jersey. So if you release videos from different settings, you're automatically going to be wearing different clothes anyway.
Exactly. Yep.
I know there's some tricks in terms of making sure that your video is found in YouTube. Can you talk to us a little bit about keywords and descriptions?
Yep. The most important things on YouTube are your video's title, obviously, because that's what people are going to search for. The description and the tags or the keywords are also really important. In fact, most, really successful YouTube creators reverse engineer it. So they don't even start with the video. They start with the keyword or the key phrase. What are people searching for? And maybe a how-to or something like that, and then they work backwards. So they start with, okay, well, here's a keyword that I think I can rank for, and here's a subject that I think is going to be popular, and then they basically back into it and do the video based on the keywords or the tag, as YouTube calls them. The other thing that's really important on YouTube is watch time, and that's how you kind of get rewarded, and obviously YouTube wants you to spend as much time as possible on their platform. So the better you can do with watch time, and the more you can say, hey, watch my next video, or check out this other video that I did, the longer you can keep them on your channel, the more popular YouTube is going to make you. So that's become more and more important. I've even started to shift my thinking. Like, I always thought, oh, well, YouTube's just a place where you get traffic and then send them back to your website. But YouTube doesn't really like that. YouTube wants you to have them stick with you for a while, and keep, the longer you can keep them on your channel, the more YouTube will reward you and make you easier to find.
Mm-hmm. And that reverse engineering is key. I think that applies to many kinds of content creation. I know people who write blogs based on figuring out what are the frequently searched keywords.
Right.
And then, of course,
and
can
you can use, video. Exactly. And there are tools you can use, like Neil Patel's Uber Suggest, which I think there's a free version, Uber Suggest, where if you put in a keyword, it'll give you several related keywords. Like, oh, I didn't think of that. This one gets even more searches than the one I was thinking of. So sometimes you have to kind of get out of your own way and be more objective about it and say, well, what are people actually searching for? What do they call it? Like, I never say film videos, because as a TV guy, you're not actually filming, you're taping or recording. But other people use the word film video, so I have to kind of bring that into my vernacular and think about what people are asking for.
Well, can you take us through the 7 steps of video marketing that you covered in your book, and you covered it very well? But can you give us the overview of that?
Sure, I can give you the real quick version of that. I have to look at it to remember myself, but they're all P words, because I like alliteration. So the first is purpose, and that's basically the goal of your video. So you want to start, begin with the end in mind. I think it was Brian Tracy who said that, but start with your purpose or goal. The next P is premise, which is your message, which is obviously very important, what you're going to say. Then the third P is production, and that's essentially what equipment do you need to get started. The next one is platform, and that's basically the style of video. Are you going to do on camera? Are you going to do off camera? Are you going to do live? Are you going to do recorded? So you want to find the right platform for you, or what I call it is your video sweet spot. And then the next is promotion, and that's basically uploading and sharing your video, because if you record it and leave it on your hard drive, then you might as well never have done it at all. Which leads to the 6th, which is power, which is actually like leveraging and repurposing your video. So if you do a video and you post it on YouTube, why not post that on Facebook or LinkedIn, or depending on the length, Instagram? So leverage is really important, because you want people to find your video no matter where it is. And the final P is profit, and that's basically about monetizing your videos.
And that's a subject near and dear to the hearts of our listeners, who are probably thinking, I've got to get this equipment. I've got to work out what I'm going to say. I've got to block off time. How do I make money with these videos?
Yeah, and I believe there's two key ways to monetize video. And the first is basically to use video as a promotion or marketing tool to promote your other products or services. So basically it's, a marketing tool that sells your other stuff, or the videos themselves can be monetized by being a product in themselves or a course in themselves. As you know, I do a lot of video courses. So obviously if I sell a video course that's got 6 or 8 or 10 videos in it, I can monetize my videos that way. And you can also do that by putting it on third-party sites like Udemy or Teachable or Skillshare or something like that. So you don't even have to have your own platform. You can say, okay, I did these videos about such and such. I'm going to upload them to Udemy. Obviously, Udemy will keep a percentage of the profits, but now you've got a platform to sell your videos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are several ways that you're describing. I think for the legal nurse consultants who are listening, their biggest monetization is when the attorney hires them to work on a case. Mm-hmm. And that might turn into a $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 compensation for the hours that are put into it. So they're very focused on using a video or using their presence to say, here's how I can help you. This is my area of expertise.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's the big payday for us.
Yeah. So you could put those videos on YouTube so that people find you and then come back and hire you. It's a great way to be, again, discovered, because otherwise, you can't really depend on people just, happening upon you by chance anymore. You really have to kind of be strategic about it and say, where is my audience? How can I reach them? And what's the best and most engaging way to reach them? And I always say that's video because it's the most personal.
And do you have any recommendation on the length of a video for YouTube?
Yeah, again, it's one of those trick questions because it really shouldn't be any longer than it needs to be. The sweet spot for YouTube seems to be between 2 and 8 minutes. So again, I don't know why that's the sort of the magic formula, but you don't need to artificially, ramble on just because, I have to make it 8 minutes. It really doesn't need to be any longer than it has to be, but that seems to be the most popular range that YouTube recognizes.
Well, that makes me feel better because most of the videos I'm doing now are between 2 and 3 minutes, and I was concerned that 3 minutes would be too long.
Mm-hmm. I used to think that too, and again, it depends on the content. Obviously, if you're explaining something or you're doing a how-to video, it may take 6 or 7 minutes just to go through the steps and show people how to do that. So no longer than it has to be, but you don't have to, oh my gosh, I've got to cut it off at 3 minutes no matter what. So.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You've given us some great content today, Lou, and I know there'll be people who are listening or watching this video who will want to know more about what you offer. What website can you share with us to help our listeners know how they can connect with you further?
Sure. You can find me at loubortone.com. It's Bortone. And on that website, in the upper right, there's a little freebie thing where you can sign up to get 99 video topic ideas. So you'll never run out of, what should I talk about on video? So there's lots of ideas and topics for you there.
That sounds like a great resource. I'm going to head there right after we disconnect and get my copy of that, Lou.
Great, thank you.
And I appreciate you being a guest on our show today and the value that you have brought to our listeners.
My pleasure.
Be sure to check out Lou's website. You'll find him to be a great resource on video concepts and an engaging and easy way in his teaching manner to make you feel comfortable with what can be an intimidating subject for many people.
Thank you, Pat.
You're welcome. And be sure to tune in next week when we have another interview. This has been Pat Iyer and Lou Bortone talking about video marketing for legal nurse consultants.